Hello everyone. Now we are live with our second session in the series of this Matlab basics. So this is the second live session in the series. Okay, our first series is on our first lecture. The first live lecture is on a different channel by the name of Dr. Sachin Sharma. So if you want to go through first lecture of this Matlab basic series, you can visit to Dr. Sachin Sharma's channel, and then you can see the very basics of this Matlab there. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about some of the few new basics in Matlab, that is like branching statements. So specifically in branching statements, we will be talking about like how to use this if and else loops, or how to use this if and else statements. And after that, if time permits, we will also discuss about like uh, different kind of arrays in MATLAB and how to access the different values or the elements of those array in MATLAB. Okay, so prior to starting our live session, let's see who is available here. So right now Prince Sharma is available here. So let's wait for some time, if and let's see if more people join us together. And in the meantime, the people or the students who have joined as of now, they can type their name along with their location, like from where they are watching this video. Okay, so let's see and hope more and more people join us for this free live sessions on MATLAB. So is there, let's greet everyone. Hello everyone, welcome. Okay, this Rupesh Rajput is from Lonavala. Okay, now we will continue. I hope my voice and pictures are clear to everyone. So if anyone has any problem in visualizing this video, then they can also comment to this live chat, and we will try to rectify within the live session, or we will try to modify it in a upcoming session. Okay, now uh, now going to the MATLAB and adding it to the, okay, fine. Now I hope this MATLAB is visible to you, and let's change our current working folder to the folder where we stored all of our program in our last session. So they were in Dropbox, 5, MATLAB demo, and okay, that's fine. Let's close this. Yeah, apart from that, we also provide these online workshops, okay, some paid workshops for the specific topics related to the engineering and the MATLAB. So if any one of you is interested uh, in those workshops as well, so they can also register through our official website, or through directly through any of our publicity posts. Okay, so coming back to the if and else statement, so let's talk about let's start with the paint. Okay. So when we talk about the branching statements, So in our last session, we saw the simple program in which the execution of the program was in linear form. That means one by one it was executed. But what about the case when we want to test certain conditions? So testing certain conditions means, let's say, uh, if I say if certain condition is true, then some statement should run, and if certain condition false, then the other statement should run. So it is more like you created a robot and asked the robot to purchase some vegetables, and you ask the robot to purchase the potatoes. So the robot goes to one first vendor, and what should it do? It should first ask, okay, whether there is a potatoes or not. Obviously, so this is a kind of the condition checking, whether potatoes are available to that vendor or not. So if potatoes are available, then what will robot do, or you will do? You will purchase those potatoes and come back to your home. And let's say if there are no potatoes at that vendor, then what will you do? If you have not specified, or your mom has not specified like what to do if the vendor says he or she doesn't have potatoes, then you will come back home again. In another case, you can do like, if potatoes are not available, then go to the next vendor and ask the same question. So this is how it is related to our daily day-to-day life as well. Like each and every day we keep on executing these kind of statements, like condition checking, and then checking whether certain conditions are true or not. Okay, so similarly, in my programming as well, we can also put this kind of functionality in our program with the help of these branching statements. So these are known as the branching statements because in this the execution doesn't goes to the next statement directly. Instead, it can go jump to the next section, other section of the program. Okay, so it is like it is creating a branch of the within the normal program. So first statements is or generally used in all the program, most of the program language, is if statement. So if statement is like asking a question, okay, whether there is a condition. So this is a flow of the program, and if there is a condition, so there could be only two cases for one condition, either that is true or either that is false. Okay, right. If it is true, then let's say statement 1 will run, and if it is false, then we can say, okay, statement 2 will run. Okay, and both the cases, after executing any of the statement, it come back to the same point, and then keep continuing other statement, or we can say the normal program. Okay, so this is a very basic structure of these branching statements. Now it could be like, if this condition is true, we do these statements, and if the condition is false, we don't execute any statements and we just come back here. Okay, there could be different cases, like it could be other way around, without any executing any statement, it just directly to the normal program, and if these are true, it can do these statements, it executes these statements, and then continue with the normal execution. So it could happen in either way. Okay, so now we will learn how to use them in Matlab. So we will open this Matlab, and then we will create a new script, and we will write like, okay, this file test branching statements, close all, and then first of all we'll make clear all, and we will do CLC as well. Okay, we will save this file. So demo if else. Okay, Okay, so let's see if anyone has the doubt. So if anyone of you have any doubt, then you can simply comment that question in the chat box, and then I will see those and will try to answer that particular query. Okay, okay, so let's into the matter. So here we are testing a program in which we have two numbers, and we will try to find which one is greater. Okay, so let's say a is equals to 25 and b equals to 10. Okay, and I see, yeah, there are when we talk about conditions, so in condition there are several conditional statements which are available to us. Those conditional statements are like greater than operator, less than operator, greater than equal to, less than equals to, or not equals to. So these are the several operators which can be used within the Matlab, and this is the famous one. It checks whether these two numbers, left and right, are equal to each other or not. Okay, so similarly, uh, here in our program we are going to check whether a is greater than b or not. So we will type if a is greater than b. I think there is a wrong. It should be 1 1, and then we will display this a is greater than b. Okay, and then and. So each if statements ends with this and sign. Okay, it should be remembered. So now this program is doing only one task right now, and after that we can display something like this program is finished. Okay, so this particular program is doing only one task. It is whether checking is greater than b or not. So if I run it, it will say a is greater than b. But what if a is not greater than b? Then this program will not display anything. So it is like a case represented by red. If this condition is true, then these statements are run, and if the condition is false, nothing is being done. Okay. So similarly, oh, okay, sorry, I forget to add that particular box here. So I am again adding int box. This is my fault here. So these are the branching instructions which I was talking about. Sorry for I didn't mention it earlier. Okay, I forgot to add it on the screen. Okay, so here is this branching statements here. So these were I was talking about. If the condition is true, then these statements will run and it will come out of the normal program, and if the conditions are false, then nothing will happen. Okay, so similarly, in the case, going back to the Matlab, in this case, when the condition is true, this statement is executed, and when condition is false, nothing. Okay, so that is simple. Now let's say if we want to execute when condition is false, so what we'll do, we will add another statement that is represented by else. Okay, so in the else we will display, okay, so here a is greater than b, and if this condition is false, then obviously a is smaller than. Okay, so now if I run the program, it will say okay, a is smaller than b, and if I enter it 25, it will display a is greater than. So that is a very straightforward program. Okay, similarly, what else if we have multiple conditions? So if we have multiple conditions, then we can have multiple statements as well. So similarly, in the same branching case, if in the same branching case, let's clear everything first. Okay. Type it. Okay, let's go to the pen here. So within these branching statements, it could be like we start with this first condition. So if this condition is true, then let's say if the recording is done. Yes, the condition is true. These statements will run and it will come out of the loop to the normal execution of the program, or you can say the stop. If the condition is false, then we can check. If this first condition is false, we can check some other condition. Okay, so that condition either be true or that condition could be false. So if this true, some other statement will run and come out of the loop. Similarly, if it is false, we can check another condition. And finally, we could have the last case, okay, when none of this is true. That is, you can think of it as a default case. Okay, final statement will run and it will come out of the loop. So it is kind of a last else statement. So else statements, if you look at it here carefully, if first condition is true, it will execute first statements and come out of this entire structure, and it will not check the next conditions. So next condition will only be checked if first condition is false and then second condition is true. So if all these condition is false, then else statements will run. So finally, this else statement only runs when all the above conditions prior to that else statements are false. Only then this else statement will run. Okay, so we will also see in our MATLAB session. Let's see if anyone has any doubt in it. So Rupesh Rajput, can you please use Hindi in your... Okay, Rupesh, we can use Hindi, but then it limited the scope of the users who are watching this video, and we are trying to make sure that people all over the world can see this video and can understand, can learn something from our video. That is why we are using this entire live session. Okay, let's see if any other one has any other doubt. Okay, here Ruchika Sharma, very nice, thank you. Okay, now coming back to the programming part. So let's see if more question arises, then we will answer them accordingly. Okay, here let's go to our screen to the MATLAB program. Now, what we will change in this program, we will modify this program in such a manner that it takes three numbers. So let's say c equals to 30, and this program tries to find the greatest number out of all these three. Okay, so greatest number means let's say which one is the greatest. So we can say okay, c is the greatest, so our program should be able to do that. So here we will check multiple conditions, right? So here let's say we are checking if a is greater than b, and we are checking if a is greater than c as well. So this is the logical AND, right? Let's use this tool. This is the logical AND operator. So it means if this condition gives us 1 true and this condition is also giving us true, so their AND will take place. So AND will give 1 only if both the conditions are true. So if both the condition are true, then we can say A is the greatest number. Okay, we can also see else if. So if B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then we can say okay, B is the greatest number. Now in last case, if uh, none of the above statement is true, then finally we can say C is the greatest number. Okay, so if A is false, if this first condition is false, the second condition is false, and finally the third condition, that will be true, and this will run only if all the above conditions are false. So now if we run it, we will see C is the greatest one. So when it comes to the testing, so we should test or we must test our program for all the possible cases known to us, because in that only because once we do the rigorous testing, only then we can came to know some of the pitfalls of our program. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, now A is the greatest, and let's make it 41B. So B is the greatest. Now let's, as I said, we should check for all the possible cases. So now two numbers are equal. Now what will happen? So let's see. Say C is the greatest. Okay, so our program fails. So this is a test case where our program fails because in either of the cases we have not specified a specific case when two numbers are equal. Okay, so this program will run only and only if any of the number are not equal. Okay, so you can think of a way in order to avoid that situation, or you can at the starting you can say okay, these numbers this program will run for non-equal numbers. Okay, otherwise if you want to make your program more diverse so that it can distinguish between the equal numbers and greater number, then obviously you have to add more such conditions again. Okay, so that you can visualize more different cases or the condition. Okay, and now let's take another program if it is possible. Yeah, there are also a possibility we can go the loop within the loop. I mean the conditions within the conditions as well. So we will consider that case as well. Okay, so let me remove all this. Okay. So the conditions within the conditions means, let's say we started with one condition. So here we have a condition, and if it is true, then obviously we can go to another statement. So within the next statement we can have another condition. Okay, and then if that condition is true, only then we will use some other statements, and if that condition is false, we can execute some other statements. Let's say statement 1, statement 2, and then any of the statements are executed, we can go to the final. Okay, similarly as well, if the condition is false, we can have another condition as well, and both now this condition can be true or can be false again. So similarly, based on this true, we can have another statements, let's say statement 3, and then we can have another statements, let's say statement number 4. Okay, I should use these arrows so that everyone it is visible how this flow is happening. Okay, okay, so now you can think of it as it becomes a message like it is like a condition within the condition. So you can say if within a if, right? So let's say this statement will run, this particular statement will run if our condition 1, okay, let's say condition 1, condition 2 and condition 3. So this statement will run if our condition 1 is true and our condition 2 is true. Only then this statement will run. It will, our program will follow this path, right? If this condition is 1 true and condition 2 is false, then our exit statement 2 will run. Okay, again I forget to mention, I will say, okay, here is the case. Sorry again. So this is what I was talking about, conditions within the conditions, right? So this is the cases like when condition 1 is true, and then again within that condition we have another condition, and if that is true we have statement 1. So I was teaching like when these statements will run. So this statement will run when condition 1 is true and condition 2 is false. Similarly, if condition 1 is false, like this one, if condition 1 is false and condition 3 is true, condition 3 is true, only then this statement 3 will run, right? And then finally this statement 4 will run only when condition 1 is false and condition 2 is true, is false as well. So then this statement will, so we can say if at upper end at so you can think of it as a outer if statement. Okay, so if that statement is true and if that statement is false, that means it can go into the else statement, because if the statement is true, this condition will run, but the if statement is false, then in order to avoid that coming out of the loop, we have to use this else statement. So all these false can go into the else statement when our first condition is false. So let's think about it. Okay. So within this case, we can have different scenarios. So it will become really difficult. Okay. So instead of checking these conditions within the same, we can also check if A is greater than B, and if that is true, we'll see if A is greater than C, right? Only then something will run and it will come out of it. Okay, coming to the scene 2, let's see if anyone has doubt. Okay, right now no one. Okay, now let's think about the condition within the condition. So let's say whether if we live in India and whether we live in UP or not, it could be like this. Okay, so yeah, so I have come up with some program now. So let's say if A is equals to 1, so that indicates we live in India and Uttar Pradesh. If A is 2, we live in India but in Delhi. And if A is 3, we will say okay, we don't live, we live outside India in the US or something else. So okay, so if so A could be the country indication and B could be the state indication, right? So, or because we are familiar with the states of the India only, so let's say states and then uh, some of the places you can think of. So we have two conditions. So if A is equals to 1, then this condition is true, and if I write like if A is equals to now the second case, B equals to 1, then I will display you live in India and Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so if A is 1 and B is 1, if B is not equals to 1, So in else case, in order to avoid the more messy, you can create more messy. We'll simply write you live in Delhi. Okay. Now this internal if statement has to end with and. Okay. And coming to the else, I will say if a is not equals to 1, then I can say okay, display you don't live. Okay, you don't you do not live in India. Okay, and then okay, here we are checking some conditions only, but it is a case of multiple checking if and within a clear example of if within a if only. So if first condition is true, it will check for B, and if B is true, it will display this one, and if B is false and first is true, it will run this. Let's run it. So we'll see you live in Delhi. Okay, if I make it 1, it will say you live in India and this. Okay, and if I make it 2, so it will display this one because this condition is false. It will display this one. It will say you do not live in India. Okay, the spelling is wrong. Let me correct it. It will display you do not live in India. So I hope you have understood. So this was our very basic programs to showcase you how to use this if and else statements and with different kinds. So you can think of different complex programs at your end, and then you can try to write the code as per your requirement. And obviously, every time you can ask for the help by just commenting below this video, or you can also mail us through our mails website or through our mail. So let's see if anyone has doubt. So today we will stop here. Okay, as I said in the starting, we will discuss the arrays portions if time permits. So I hope this is the sufficient time now for this live session. So we will discuss about these arrays in our next session, and then we will talk about the plots as well. We'll try to cover the plots as well in our next live session. Okay, so let's see if anyone has doubt, and after that we will close this live session. So anyone if has any doubt, then you can let me know through this live chat. Okay, so let's wait some time. So is Rupesh Rajput is still here? Okay, Mr. Rohan, do you have any query? Or Mr. Ritvik, do you have any question? If you are still available. Okay, no one has any doubts, so let's say thank you for being with us. Okay, so that's it for this today's live session. So in next session, we'll come up with our next topic in the Matlab tutorials. Till then, stay home. Stay safe. So that's it for this video. Thank you.